School District Candidate Forum. I'm Sandy Whistler. I'm from Lake Mills, and we're part of a local public education advocacy group there. I have a couple of my friends with me, and they're also members of our group, Joanne Russo and Donna Grzinski. We're really happy to be here with you tonight to facilitate this forum, and we're looking forward to hearing from your candidates as well. If you have a question for any of the candidates as the forum proceeds, and you would like to ask the question, I have some slips right here that we can give to you, and after the question and answer part has finished, I'll give you an opportunity. We'll collect these, and then we'll read them and give the candidates a chance to answer the questions that they have. So I'd like to introduce Marilyn Townsend. She's our moderator for the evening, and she comes to us from the League of Women Voters in Madison. So thanks for being here, Marilyn.
Take it away. Thank you, Sandy. As she mentioned, my name is Marilyn Townsend. I'm a volunteer at the League of Women Voters, but I also have a day job. I'm an attorney, and I am currently a commissioner at the Labor and Industry Review Commission, where I decide appeals from administrative law judge decisions in the areas of discrimination, workers' compensation, and unemployment compensation. I was born and raised in northern Wisconsin. My dad was on the county board. He was also town chairman, where my sister also served on the school board, and also as a county supervisor. I served 12 years as a trustee for the village in my community. I also have served 6 years as a municipal court judge. I believe that all politics are local, and the folks who run for school board, city council, trustee are on the front lines because each day they see their neighbors and they have to answer to their neighbors. And I think whether you're an elected official or you have been a candidate and for whatever reason didn't succeed, I believe you all deserve a hero and heroine's welcome, because it is simply not easy. We have, I understand, in Cambridge, 5 candidates for the position of school board. I think we have 3 vacancies or 2? 3 vacancies. Excuse me for not knowing that. All 5 candidates were invited. 3 were able to be here this evening. The 5 candidates for school board are Jay Fisher, Samantha Fisher, Annie LaValle, who is here, Gary Swain, who is here, and Tara Vasby, who is here as well. Hopefully I pronounced your names correctly. For those of you who may not know, a few words about the League of Women Voters. It is a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. The League seeks to empower voters and defend democracy through advocacy, education, and litigation at the local, state, and national levels. Tonight's forum, as Sandy mentioned, is organized and presented by the Citizen Advocates for Public Education, otherwise known as CAPE, a local public education advocacy group that's been in Lake Mills for over 10 years. CAPE is an independent citizens group that supports and advocates for quality public education in Lake Mills, as evidenced by the quality, I think they mean throughout the area, as evidenced by the quality of teachers, etc. Over the years, it has organized events such as this evening, where we have school board candidate forums, educates the public about current educational issues, celebrates Teacher Appreciation Week, American Education Week, and Public Schools Week, donates funds for school projects, and provides volunteers for classrooms and activities. So with that brief introduction, let us move to the reason all of us are here this evening. Let me do a brief overview of how the forum will proceed so you have an overall picture if you haven't already received the schedule. The first 15 minutes is devoted to welcome and introductions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce him or herself. We have a wonderful timekeeper here today, Joanne Rousseau. And sometimes I've been a timekeeper myself, and sometimes for whatever reason you lose track of time. I told her to raise her hand if she thinks for some reason she's lost track of time, and I'm sure the candidates will be understanding. We don't want anyone to have more time than the others, but we don't want to shortcut anybody. So hopefully we'll proceed like a well-oiled machine. But I would say to the candidates, please include your connections to the Cambridge School District, community groups you're involved in, and your perspective on what is the role of a school board member. Then I will begin. We have a number of questions for our candidates, 5 in all, and I will pick a different candidate each time to begin. And we didn't talk about this before, but I'm making a chair's decision that I'm going to go in reverse alphabetical order. So I guess that will mean we will have Tara answering the first question, VAS, and Gary answering the second question, and Anne, begins with an L, answering the next question. And then each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each of the 5 questions. The next, and that will be basically from 6:45 to 7:30, but because we don't have all 5 candidates here, we may proceed more quickly. And then toward the end of the forum, members of the audience will be able to ask questions of the candidates. That will go for approximately, we have it scheduled here for 25, no, 35, 45, 50, 25 minutes. And we'll keep an eye on that. So think of questions as we go along. And anyone wishing to ask a question will be asked, as Sandy said, to fill out a slip with their name, address, and a question. And Sandy will read the question to the candidates, and they'll be given 2 minutes to respond. In fact, maybe it's better if you just hand me the question, and I will read it, and we'll keep track of my order. And then in the last 10 minutes of the forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a final statement, and then we will have a closing comment and end the program. So again, it's fun to be here. I love these forums because they're just a wonderful opportunity for us all to learn. So we will begin with the candidates taking the 2 minutes to introduce themselves. We'll start with Tara, go to Gary, and then to Ann.
Thank you. Again, my name is Tara Vosby. I am currently, this is ending my first term on the board, so I'm trying to attempt to be reelected for my second term. I am what I like to call a local lifer, multi-generational family here in town. I graduated from Cambridge High School in 1991. In addition to being a graduate and a school board member, I'm also have been on the Cambridge High School Alumni Association board for 29 years now. It's a big job. And then also I'm on the Cambridge High School Hall of Honor committee as well. In my professional life, I am a proud 26-year state employee. Spent 14 in the state capitol in the legislature, working for a handful of Democrats. Currently, I'm in the executive staff assistant for the state health officer in the Division of Public Health in the Department of Health Services, which has not been boring recently. So, and finally, the role of the board, and I think the thing that makes Cambridge so successful is that our board is a high-functioning board in the sense that the board lets the administrators do their jobs, we let the teachers do their jobs, and they come to us when approvals and decisions need to be made on behalf of the community. And so, and I think that's really the role of the board. The role of the board is not to insert ourselves and our beliefs into curriculum and education, but it is in fact to support our teachers and our staff. So, thank you.
What we'll do is, and thank you for applause, but we'll hold the applause just to keep moving along. I know they all have their supporters and loved ones here. Thank you.
Sorry, Gary, they're not going to cheer for you.
Yes, I apologize, Gary. I overlooked that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Can everyone hear me? First of all, thank you very much for this platform tonight, meeting with all of you. With my schedule and stuff, face-to-face is sometimes tough, but I'm seeing a lot of faces here, and I'm always available. Mornings about 7 o'clock, nights at 5 o'clock in the barn, so I got left. As I said, my name is Gary Swain. I was appointed to the board. I've been on for about, I think June or so, I think I got on there. I'm going to be looking at Tara a lot to make sure I'm saying the right stuff. But I have my own independent mind. Graduated from Cambridge in '95. Luckily, Tara was not in school anymore to bully me. Went to UW-Madison, got my degree in dairy science, and I came back home to the farm. My family has a small dairy farm outside of town, just north of Utica. And I've done some other jobs through the years because 25 cows is not enough to do things. But through the dairy cattle, I met my beautiful and lovely wife, even though she went to Deerfield, Dana. And we got 3 wonderful kids who are in the school district, a junior, a freshman, and a 7th grader. And, you know, my family's been here for longer than Tara's, but we won't get into that. And I just want to thank everyone for opportunities. I might not be as the most face out there for everyone to see and hear, but my first priorities is the school district of Cambridge, so Cambridge first. So thank you very much.
Nice job,
Yeah,
Dan.
you know.
That was you.
And just so we put Annie in the middle.
Yeah, I'm in the middle on purpose to keep these two contained. Hi, I'm Annie LaValle. Thank you all for being here this evening. I am not a Cambridge lifer. I grew up on a farm, though, in Eastern Rock County and attended the Milton School District. After graduating high school, I attended college and completed a degree in political science from UW-Whitewater. After transferring twice, so I went on a little bit of a Midwest college tour. After graduating college, I actually joined the Army. So I served in active duty Army during the early mid-2000s when the country was in combat operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. I spent 6 years in the Army in the Wisconsin Army National Guard, including a deployment to Iraq with the Wisconsin Army National Guard. So I do know what it means to serve, and I have a long standing commitment to service. After my military service, I used the GI Bill to get a second degree in psychology and completed a master's degree in community mental health counseling. From 2012 to 2024, I worked in academic and student success within the UW system at UW Whitewater, the UW colleges, and most recently at UW System Administration. My family moved to Cambridge in 2016 when my oldest was in 3rd grade. We were attracted to Cambridge because of the geographic location, the reputation of the schools, and the programming through CAP. My youngest is currently a 2nd grader, and my oldest actually graduated from high school in January, graduated a semester early from Koshkonong Trails, the charter school here in the district. Is currently a full-time student at Whitewater, so following mom and grandma to Whitewater. Prior to being appointed to the board in April, I served for 5 years on the Koshkonong Trails Charter School Board. I have like 10 seconds left. So the role of a board member is to look to the needs of the community when making decisions and not their own personal needs. So I have 6 years of governance to bring to the table. Experience.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sorry, I had to talk fast, man.
We will
It was a lot to fit in.
begin the first question with Tara, the second question with Gary, and then the third question we will begin with Anne. Tara, what do you view as the greatest strengths and greatest challenges of the school district of Cambridge?
Yeah, thank you. So again, I think the biggest reasons of why Cambridge schools are so highly admired around this area of the state is because of our teachers and our staff. We have top-notch teachers, we have top-notch staff, and considering the many challenges that small school districts like us face, Cambridge has above average teacher retention rate, which we are really, I mean, there's teachers that who have taught generations of kids. Like we teachers stay here a long time. We have, and again, we have an amazing and supportive community that supports education, supports our school district, supports our students, and our board and our board and our administration are high functioning. We are focused on the kids, we're focused on the staff, and making sure that our district runs smoothly. Small school districts like ours continue to face fiscal challenges and will continue to face fiscal challenges. Cambridge runs a very lean and mean budget. We're fiscally responsible. However, the uncertainty of the federal funding, I think that we all are aware of, is concerning, because if we lose the $357,000 in change, that becomes a real challenge to try to fill that gap if that funding goes away. And frankly, in addition, I think a lot of people know me as the crazy solar lady. So I'm actually very concerned about the impact of the Koshkonong Solar Center. Construction is actually, you've probably seen them in the fields already. Construction starts April 1st. So that is a concern. I think it's one that the district has felt compelled to weigh in on, as did I on a personal level. So I think that that and the fiscal uncertainty facing the district are two of the biggest challenges. But on balance, I think we're doing pretty good. So thanks.
Gary, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I actually printed them off.
Okay, all right.
Am I allowed to say ditto?
You can say whatever you wish.
Well, no. I like to talk. I think one of the greatest, well, actually, when I was being appointed to the board, this was, I think, one of the questions asked that night by our president. And I think my answer was our school size. We have a great strength because we are a smaller school. The classes are manageable sizes, things like that. I couldn't even imagine, Annie, I know Milton was huge.
No, it wasn't that big.
Yeah, whatever. But we all become family here, and I think that's one of the strengths of our school district is once you're here, you're family. Even if you're here for 1 year, your family. Those kids that came in 2nd grade, we were like, oh, those are the new kids when we graduate them after 10 years. So I think that's just the greatest strength is just the family atmosphere of our district and our community. We all look out for each other. We all have opinions. We all want to hear opinions, but not everyone can get what they want all the time. So I think that's one of our strengths. Challenges, yeah, fiscally, that's always one of the challenges. The district has done a wonderful job over the past few years, really streamlining things, making some tough choices. You know, I think a lot of places got greedy with a lot of COVID money and just spent like crazy, and now it's time to pay the piper. But I think Cambridge was really smart about that. Got a referendum passed that was, you know, not too much and not too little, enough to get us through. We might have to do that again someday, but we'll, you know, make sure we're actually using the money where it needs to go. Some of the other challenges too is one of the reasons I wanted to be appointed to the board was just the last election. I just thought it was a black eye for our community, and I just wanted to be on here trying to be more of a calming, neutral voice on things. I have opinions on the left and the right, but like I always keep saying, Cambridge first, so thank you.
So the school district of Cambridge has a lot of strengths. We have dedicated teachers and staff who want the best for each student in our schools. The district has strong family and community support and a robust network of alumni, thanks to Tara and others. We educate the whole child and prepare them to be community builders and critical thinkers. The current board is also a significant strength as it provides thoughtful, pragmatic, and student-focused leadership. An immediate challenge is hiring and onboarding a new superintendent. The board is acting swiftly and deliberately to hire this spring and ensure continuity for our district and our staff. We're actively involved in that search process and look forward to bringing in a new superintendent to maintain focus on continuous improvement and the district services that we offer to support all learners. Another major challenge is the budget. There are several strategies to create the best possible conditions for a balanced budget. One, we need to advocate for additional state support to include an increase in special education aid. That aid currently only covers around 30% of our costs. So we have to use money that would otherwise go to our general purpose fund to cover that lack of state funding for special education services. Yesterday I spent all day in Madison and met with our legislators to advocate for public education and the well-being and success of all of our students. Two, we need to look critically at every expense and work to find creative solutions to long-term financial challenges. School budgets are not easy, and we've got a great team and we've got a great board who are really ensuring that we're spending our money wisely. And I think the third thing that we need to continue to focus on is providing educational and co-curricular opportunities that keep resident students in this district and attract non-resident students to our district. For example, the Koshkanon Trails Charter School and our co-op sports.
Thank you. We will go on to question number 2, and we will begin with Gary. Question. It is important to hear from constituents and gather information for decision making while respecting the confidentiality of the information received. How will you ensure you have all the information you need to make fully informed decisions for the district?
Since I've been around here for a while, I know a lot of the movers and shakers in our community, and some of the early, really no earth-shattering things I've had to vote on yet, but the one I did reach out to some people that I think might had some different views of mine, and just wanted to get their point of view of it, and so I could understand where they were coming from, and then I was able to, you know, put together my own ideas. And it might not be right what everyone wants, but we have to make tough decisions being elected officials. And I'm always going to do what I think is right for Cambridge. I'm trying to drown out a lot of noise from the outside world. We need to bring in some new ideas. That's wonderful about having some new families in the district that's been here for a while and bringing new voices. But we still know the values of Cambridge. So I reach out to those people. Some of the oldest members of our community, reach out to them because they've been here forever and they've made us a great community. And I reach out to some of the newer members there too. I know the joke here is gather information every Thursday night at the bowling alley.
That's totally what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know, that's the secret. But I've, you think bowlers aren't, but a lot of guys there, it's mostly males, they have reached out to me now knowing that I'm on the school board. And I think a lot of them never knew they had an avenue to get some places out there, but I think with my personality and my background, I think I'm opening up dialogue with a lot of new people in the community. So
We will go. Thank you very much. And would you like me to repeat the question?
Nope, I've got it. Thank
Okay.
you. So, as a former military intelligence analyst, I have a lot of training and experience in gathering information from multiple sources, checking the credibility of that information, and then utilizing it to make strategic decisions. Thankfully here, nobody's going to die if I get it wrong, I hope. So in the past year, I've also taken a lot of initiative to learn as much as I can about school district governance. I've participated in events through the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. I was fortunate to be able to attend the Wisconsin Education Convention. And that included a 3-hour session on school district finance. It was a lot of fun. So it was very informative because as a decision maker on the board, I have to balance community perspectives with practical and unbiased information in order to make sound decisions. So it's important to have that knowledge along with feedback. I also spend time in some of our schools. I'm a parent volunteer, which is a great way to interact with staff, to not only help them out with their daily tasks, but to witness all the amazing work they're doing in order to grow our community of learners. Our schools are not without challenges, however, and having a presence with staff helps to build that relationship and keep open those lines of communication with our staff and parents and others.
And Tara, would you like the
No, I'm
question?
good. No, we're good.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say ditto to both of them, frankly.
Same thing.
And I think, no, I wasn't. I was a political analyst, which is a very different animal. No, I just want to say that I think that what they're saying is what I think was why our board functions so well. We all are bringing information from different places. We're bringing information from different parts of the community, and we are getting together and we are talking about them as a board and making our decisions. I will say that I think that the district itself does a really good job reaching out. We do annual surveys with parents. We are continually, reaching out to if we have, surveying the teachers, and we're always trying to get feedback from our constituents, from our students, from our teachers, so that we are able to make the best decisions for our district. And again, I think the value and the strength of the board as it currently stands is that, Gary gets his information on Thursdays at the bowling alley, which is an important constituency. I'm not going to say it's not. Annie has a whole different perspective, she's a newer community member. And then you have myself, who's been on the board for a while, and Jesus and Jim and Ann and Tracy. We all have our own perspectives and our own groups of people that we relate to and will ask questions of. And I think that brings a more complete picture to the board on its whole. So.
Thank you. We'll go on to question number 3, and we will begin with Anne. What expectations do you have of the superintendent and administration to facilitate an open and collaborative relationship with teachers and staff, and what should this look like? What experiences do you have personally or professionally that best positions you to be a school board member where you will be making decisions for the district?
Yeah, so I just want to say one thing about the role of the board before diving into my answer. So the board only supervises. We are the hiring authority for the superintendent only. So all other staff do not report to the board, so it's not our job to provide them feedback directly or to make any decisions about hiring or performance plans or anything like that. But certainly we want a really exceptional leader as our superintendent. I have very high expectations of the superintendent and other leaders in the district. I expect them to be collaborative leaders who are able to listen, observe, challenge, then support their employees. They need to be able to earn and keep the trust of their staff and also parents and community members because they work for us, and you know they do, and so it's important for them to be responsive to that. So from being in the military, I had a lot of leadership training. When I worked in higher education, I was the director of a program that was staffed by faculty who I had no direct authority over. And so I'm accustomed to doing things by collaboration through relationship building. And that's something I bring to my role on the board, and that I would expect that our leaders are able to do within our schools, is really to build those relationships, keep open lines of communication, and you know, challenge our staff to do their best and support them in doing that.
And Tara, do you need me to repeat question?
Did you answer both questions?
I
Under
was
2
wondering
minutes?
if, since we're short a couple people tonight, I think that should be different
I
questions.
think so too. Can we make it 2 questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Did you already answer the second part?
No, she didn't.
Well, I answered that in the last question.
Well, I think,
We're going up.
well,
What experience do I
Always
have?
be quiet.
Yes.
tell you what, let me stop right here. No, we're not, I
Yeah.
take back my permission. We're just going to proceed with the questions. I know sometimes our candidates could probably phrase them differently or make 3 questions out of them. But do the best you can, and we will proceed. I take the chair's prerogative, and we will
We can
proceed.
come back to it later.
We can come back to it later.
In your closing statements, if you have additional things to say, but we're going to be very sensitive to people's time and sensitive. I understand that we don't have 5 candidates, but we do have 3, and people are getting a lot of information, and I believe at the end of the forum, they will have a sense of each candidate's positions. So we will proceed to Tara on question number 3.
Do you want to reread it for the sake
Yes,
of,
I-
so since we're
Absolutely.
refreshing?
We'll do that.
Thank you.
What expectations do you have of the superintendent and administration to facilitate an open and collaborative relationship with teachers and staff, and what should this look like? What experience do you have personally or professionally that best positions you to be a school board member where you will be making decisions for the district?
All right, thank you. Again, you know, our district has a reputation of being a high-functioning board, and it's largely, again, because we allow our administrators to do their jobs, our teachers to teach, and the board just doesn't insert itself where it doesn't belong. And the role of the school board is to advise and consent and make wise fiscal decisions to ensure that we are providing the best education possible for our students. And we've actually been asked this question, I think, as a board as part of the search process. And you know, my ideal candidate is someone who is going to be respectful of the community and respectful of the role of their position, the staff we have, and just do the best they can for Cambridge and really want to be here for a while. My experience personally and professionally, again, I think a lot of you in here know me from when I was this big. So, but for those who don't, once again, I'm a proud graduate. I have graduated cum laude from UW-Whitewater in 1995. I have a master's degree from Edgewood College that I earned in 2015. I have 2 boys currently attending Cambridge High School. I have a graduating senior and a freshman. And again, I've been a member of the board for the Cambridge High School Alumni Association for 29 years. That's 29 in a row Alumni Association banquets. And I'm also a member of the Cambridge Hall of Honor Committee. Professionally, again, 14 years in the state legislature as a legislative assistant. I have a working knowledge and appreciation of governments and government budgets, and I think that you can't truly be an effective publicly elected person if you don't like government at all. And I actually love government, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. But ultimately, you know, my belief is that we need to do the best. The government in general, the school board, the district needs to do the public good for all of our residents and for all of our students. So.
Thank you.
What she said.
Gary, we will go to question number 3. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the superintendent needs to be kind of the face of the district. Doesn't have to be really outgoing and things like that, but I think the district needs to know who's in charge. A lot of people think the school board has a lot of say in stuff, and we do, but that trickles down from the superintendent, and that's how we pick them. I think we got a good administration. We got some great principals and other administration right now, and hopefully we can keep that going with the new superintendent, which I'm very excited about getting to. You know, experience, personally, I guess the gorilla in the room, my mom. She was pregnant with me when she was on the school board. She served for 20-some years. So I was born into this district, and both my mom and dad graduated from here. So personally, you know, I'm Cambridge true and true. Professionally, being a dairy farmer, my wife may not agree with this, but budget-wise, we need to be pretty stringent and tight on some things. And being a small farmer, I haven't had the ability to live off a lot of government subsidies and things like that. So I make it first, and a lot of times it's really tough. But you know, Cambridge comes first, but family comes too. And I think the farm background makes me a good, grounded person to be on the board, and can take in a lot of different ideas quickly, because things come thrown at you sometimes on the farm, and I'm able to adapt and go from there. And like Annie, sometimes it's a life or death situation.
Yes, it can be.
Yes, it can be. So, but yeah, I think that's why I'm a good option for this school board, and I've only been here for a little bit, but just would like another shot with everyone.
And if I know we're all really excited about a new superintendent, but I think we have to give our props to Margie.
Yes.
Well, yes.
I don't want to give it the impression that we're excited that she's leaving, because we're not.
No.
But
We will miss
we
her.
will miss her, and we are moving on. So.
Doing the best we can to keep the train rolling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we with that shout out, is the superintendent in the room?
She's not.
Oh,
No.
all that, and she wasn't
I
even
know.
here.
Yeah.
She's all-knowing, though. So
She's going to hear about this.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay. Well, let's go on to question number 4, and we will begin with Tara. School safety is crucial for creating an environment where students can thrive both academically and socially. What does a safe school look like to you?
Thank you. You know, and you can answer this 2 ways. Physically, the school safety, I think that we are doing the very best that we can. We are very, very lucky to have a resource officer that we have in the district. Officer Tony is fantastic. But for me personally, and this is something that I will continue to say, that students need to be able to bring their authentic whole selves to class and to school every day. I don't think it's really hard to learn if you are not able to be yourself. And I was always very fortunate that I was always able to do that and be that. And it never dawned on me that it was different for anyone else. So I want students to have that same experience that I had, and just being able to safe space is being able to express yourself as you want. I don't care what pronouns you wear. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. We need to respect students and be able to really honor them, and mentally, emotionally, because it's really hard to learn if you have those barriers.
We'll go on to Gary.
Yeah, I think what does a safe school look like? To me, I think Cambridge is doing an excellent job. Officer Tony, we had a meeting with him, I think the last time, and we're so lucky. He's been here for how many years now? So kids have had him from kindergarten through high school, and so that's very good. And he's a great guy too. And so kids can trust him. They can come with him with problems. I think the community can come to him with problems, and I think that's very special. School district has through the years done some security upgrades with doors and things like that, and they're educating the students on how to do stuff properly. Don't stick something in the doors, just go get it and come back around to the front of the office. Miss Bamlett will call you in when she needs you. So environment-wise, yeah, I love that, just be yourself. And I think Cambridge is at that point, having 3 kids in the school. Luckily, my kids are being themselves. When there were some issues going on that people were bringing up, I talked to my kids. Parents have their opinions on things, but let's ask the kids. I think kids are a lot easier going. They don't. Things are a lot different than years ago, but kids just know what's going on, and we need to listen to them, and we can't make these decisions without asking them. And so if there's ever going to be a big topic, actually that's the one thing, milking cows at night with my kids. I get to know what's going on, and I think that's something very important, and I'm hopefully I'll get reelected again, and I will make sure that we know what the kids want in the school district, because kids come first. So thank you.
Anne, do you want me to repeat
Nope,
the question?
I've got it. Thank you. So so school safety, like Tara and Gary have both mentioned, there really are 2 components. There's the physical safety component, and I think our schools do a very good job with that. It's something that we stay on top of with monitoring safety drills and things like that. We got a grant this year to map all of our school facilities, so local law enforcement would have maps of both the interior and exterior of all of our school facilities, including Koshkonong Trails at the Severson Learning Center. So those things are really important, and we do the absolute best we can with the resources we have to keep our kids physically safe. I have more concerns with their mental and emotional safety in school. I think it's really important that all of our schools have a goal right now of reducing bullying within their schools. It started with a common definition and really making a push to reduce incidents of bullying in our schools is very important. And that I'm on the policy committee, Tara and I both are, and it's something we talk about in our policy committee meetings, is looking at our policies and how do these policies create an environment in which our students are physically, mentally, emotionally safe. And that is a factor in just about any policy we're looking at. And it's a very important factor because we do want our students to bring their whole authentic selves to school and to feel comfortable sharing that authentic self with everyone else. When I was at the State Education Convention, there was a fabulous speaker, and one of the things she talked about that just blew my mind, she said the opposite of belonging is fitting in. When you feel like you have to change yourself to fit in, you are not belonging. And we want all of our students to belong here because they do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will go on to question number 5. And we will begin with Gary. The statewide school voucher program is impacting the school district of Cambridge with public dollars supporting private schools. Do you support the state-funded school voucher program? Why or why not? Do you support holding voucher schools to the same accountability standards as public schools? Why or why not?
I'm not as educated on this subject as I think these 2 candidates up here are. So from my point of view, I think the school voucher program was a good idea. And like a lot of things, good ideas kind of just get morphed. And if you don't have a real train track to keep it on, people would just start splitting here and there on things like that. I don't like the idea of public money going to private schools. It's just, and they don't have to, yes, they should be the same standards as public schools. I believe that public schools, we accept everyone into our district, and voucher schools do not have to. It's more of a pick and choose. Like Annie was saying earlier about our special education funds that we're shorted on by the state of Wisconsin. We have some higher levels of special needs in this district, and we're doing an excellent job at it. And it makes us proud of what we can do with less money and better lives for these kids that really need it. I know this year we hired an extra 4th grade teacher because we just had just a little higher number, and we wanted to make sure the classrooms didn't get too full, and just thought about the kids first. So yeah, I don't think school vouchers, I think it needs to be looked at again. I think it's gone the wrong way, and hopefully we can get something figured out someday.
I believe our next one is
Yes,
Anna.
yeah.
This one.
So,
Thank you.
so do I support the state's funded school voucher program? I think it's a very complicated program. As Gary was saying, it's kind of expanded, gone off the rails from where it started. I support keeping public money in public education. This is one of the topics that came up when I was at the Capitol yesterday talking with our legislators. Our district loses a not insignificant amount of money to private school vouchers, and these private schools are not in our district. They are outside of our district. So our taxes are going to schools that are not in this district, and we have to make up that money in our budget. $200,000 is more than 2 teachers. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Some other problems with the voucher program, as I said earlier, we get about 30% of our special education costs reimbursed from the state. Private schools in the voucher program get 90% of that cost reimbursed. That is not fair. That is not fair to our students. Vouchers are funded in a sum sufficient basis, which means whatever they cost, it is paid for. Our special education funding is sum certain, which means that we get a set dollar amount. The state sets aside a set dollar amount in the budget, and if it costs more than that, too bad. School districts need to make up the cost from their general revenue, which takes money away from everything else that we do. And so I think education funding is a complicated puzzle in the state budget. It's not easy. And there needs to be a lot more of it. Our schools as a whole are underfunded compared to what they were 20 years ago. Part of that is the school voucher program. It's not the biggest part, I will tell you that, but it is something that needs to be looked at.
Thank you. Tara.
Yeah. So I'm just going to, a little anecdote, because I worked in the legislature, and I worked in the legislature when they passed the very genesis of this thing, which would be the Milwaukee Parental School Choice Program, which is now expanded 5 times. And but at that time, I worked for a Milwaukee legislator, and I will never forget, and this is probably, this guides my thinking a little bit, a girl and her father came in. I don't think they lived in our district at the time. And she came and said, please pass this bill so my parents don't have to pay so much for me to go to school. And I said, from the mouths of babes. So do I support it? I support it in the sense that if it's supporting the people in that it was intended to be for, absolutely. But it has been expanded at such a level that it is now it is completely unfair for public schools. Your property tax dollars are being sent to those private schools. And I think we recently passed a resolution, the board did, in support of legislation that would in fact take any of the voucher school program money would come out of GPR, which is general purpose revenue, which is your sales tax dollars and your income tax dollars, which is a bit more of a level playing field if we're going to dabble into tax money. And so the board supported a resolution in support of that effort because again, that's $200,000+ that's back in our district that we are not giving to schools outside of our district for these vouchers. So that's they don't have the same accountability standards. I lived it and breathed it in the legislature. So yeah, thank you.
Well, now thank you. I mean, these candidates are doing such a good job, and I'm learning so much. I'm making little notes here on things I did not know, so it's educational for me as well. We have 15 minutes, as I miscalculated last time when I said 25. We have 15 minutes allocated for anyone in attendance who would like to ask a question. Let me reread my instructions again. Members of the audience will be able to ask questions of the candidates. Anyone wishing to ask a question will be asked to fill out a slip with their name, address, and question. I'm just going to say, just fill out a slip with the question. We don't need to have everyone's ID. A member, one of our volunteers will give me the question, and the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer. You don't need to answer. You can always say, I echo what my colleague says. It's up to you. But do we have any, I see some slips out there. Wow. Sometimes I'm in crowds where they have no questions because all of the questions were asked. So,
190.
so we will, and Joanne, you'll
With 6 beers.
With what?
keep charge.
6 beers.
I don't know, let's tell some jokes. Anybody got
And-
jokes?
No jokes.
No jokes?
What?
I've got a joke.
Oh, what's your joke?
We're just killing time, too.
Yeah, we're just filling time here.
No, I just saw this
Wait,
the other
do you-
day. I just
yeah.
saw this the other day.
What do you got?
Why do you not iron a 4-leaf clover? Because you don't want to press your luck.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Was that on a Laffy Taffy?
No.
I got an Ole and Lena joke.
Yay!
I'll clean it up.
All right. And if anyone has additional questions, then I do
Somebody
have,
write that on a piece of paper.
I
What's your
have
Ole and Lena
several
joke, Gary?
questions here.
Good.
But I know that there might be a little things chatter, so I'm looking at the clock, and we will cease this part of the program no later than 7:45. This is allocated 15 minutes, but I'll just give 20 minutes in case, just to make sure we're being correct. So, and just feel free to come up and give me a question and just leave it here, and we'll go from there. So then, let me make sure we have the order fairly. Gary had the last question, and we will start with Anne on the first question, and then Tara will answer, and then Gary, and then I will go to Tara on the next question, and then to Gary. I think I'm being correct.
Yes.
I don't mind being corrected. All right. There are claims our district, starting with Anne, and there are claims our district has not been fiscally responsible. Please tell us, have we been fiscally responsible?
So I've been on the board since last May, technically I started. So I've only been through one budget cycle, and that budget was developed before I was on the board. I think there are a lot of complicated decisions that go into building a budget, and what is right for the budget is not always right for the student or the community. And I think we have a very fair budget that is mindful of the tax dollars that we need to generate from this community. The mill rate has gone down slightly the last couple of years. I think our budget is steady. We are doing the very best we can in a very difficult situation. State support for public education has declined drastically in the last 20 years. It's not even coming close to keeping up with inflation. Contact your legislators. So I think we agonize over the budget. We're not willy-nilly spending money. We are taxpayers in this community as well. And I think our budget has been handled well from what I can see and what I'm aware of. And I think these claims are coming from someone who has supported the budget that was put forward as a board member, who voted in favor of those budgets on the 3 years that he was on the board, and was part of the referendum as a board member. And so to say we've been financially mismanaged when 3 of the past 4 years you supported the budget, I think is disingenuous. Yes, we entered this year with a structural deficit. It was less than the cost. It was less than what we sent to private schools. If we didn't have to spend $200,000 to private schools, our budget would have been balanced, and we are looking to end this year balanced and a little ahead.
All right, Tara, let me repeat the question. I think it's good for everybody here. There are claims our district has not been fiscally responsible. Please tell us, have we been responsible?
And I'm going to echo everything Annie just said. And having been on the board for 3 years, I can tell you again that we are a lean and mean district. We have, again, any loss of $200,000, $300,000 is actually a difficult thing for a district this size to have to try to overcome, but we do. And we have to make hard decisions, and I can tell you that those decisions by the board are always, we are always considering students, we are always considering staff, we are always considering the impact for taxpayers. So none of the decisions we make are made lightly. They are well informed, and going to referendum is something that I think the majority of school districts in the state have to do, again, because the legislature is not funding us at a level that is sufficient. So having been on the board with the person in question who is raising these concerns after he supported the budget, every single budget, I went through the minutes, and he voted for every one of them. And he supported the referendum and then turned around and said that later that the referendum wasn't necessary or something like that. It's disingenuous, it's a false flag, and that person should know better, frankly. And it's unfortunate they are not here to answer this question as well.
Carrie, would you like the question repeated?
No, I got it.
No, we're good.
No, yeah. I see, Tara was saying about you need to like politics. I really don't like politicians. It's just these, like the bingo card of let's stir things up and different things. Let's bring up the budget. Now, I could understand if someone was not behind the scenes on a lot of these budgets. This is going to be my first budget behind the scenes. But I don't see anything coming from a old budget hawk of my mother who just voted against everything. Yes, Barbara knows that. I don't see any waste anywhere, and our superintendent has done an excellent job. Past superintendents have done excellent jobs. But this community also has done an excellent job of controlling the money. I mean, we've had some referendums for some different things we wanted to do, but we couldn't do it, and the community said no, and then we have to live with it. So I really don't think this is one area that we need to be worried about right now, and we will. I'm not saying we're not going to think about it. We all pay taxes. I'm scared as hell of the solar project that's going to take a lot of acreage away, and no one's telling us how we're going to get that money back. But as of now, I do not think this is a topic that should be brought up, and I feel bad discussing this without people here to defend themselves, but we're here and this is what we're saying. So thank you.
All right. We will go to the next question, and Tara will begin, and then Gary will answer, and then Ann.
Gary will agree. No, I'm just kidding.
How should DEI, diversity, equity,
And
inclusion, that's what I thought, but it was written soon a little. All right. How should diversity, equity, and inclusion be integrated in the schools? Are there any instances where you think DEI goes too far?
DEI is part of our everyday lives. DEI is a lactation room. DEI is, handicap parking. DEI is ramps. I think that, again, it kind of, this is a dog whistle for certain parts of the community. Again, we want all of our students to feel comfortable, belong in our district, and we need to support that. And DEI is part of that, and to some extent, I know that there's probably another question in there about social emotional learning. We want to create good people, right? That's what social emotional learning is. You are developing people who can communicate effectively and fairly, and not have and be kind to another person. Like that's, I don't know how, I personally, I struggle a little bit with this one because DEI is everywhere, and I think you're just not, people are not seeing it for what it really is. It is not, DEI is everywhere. It's not a 4-letter word or a 3-letter acronym that should be scary to people, honestly. So I think that, I think again, the district is student focused. The district is going to do the best that we can for our students, and and our promise to make sure that not only are they academically sound, but we are raising good human beings and good community members that the district is putting out into the world.
Gary, let me repeat the question for everyone again. How should DEI be integrated in the schools? Are there any instances when diversity, equity, and inclusion goes too far?
As I've said before, I'm not as educated as these two up here. So when I see these 3 letters, it kind of, people are like, oh, what does this mean? Thankfully, we have Google, and you look it up, but then you really get to the meaning of it, and it's a lot of stuff that we're lucky, I think, Cambridge is already doing. And that's one of the advantages of having a small school district and a great community that is willing to accept all these different ideas already. I've been here forever, so I don't know how welcoming this community is. I try to be. We do have new people here all the time. But yeah, I think it's just it's a political landmine that people like to throw out there, and they don't really know the meaning of that. And for what I see, and maybe I'm wrong, I think Cambridge is doing a great job at it. I don't like the government telling us what to do. That's my one issue. And we did my first vote was the Title IX, and Cambridge was already doing all that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that came out against it had already voted for that. And so Cambridge is a very forward-thinking community, and I think we're fine here. I know some districts, it sadly, that needs to be forced upon them. Just go back to the history of our country. There's some things that were just good to be forced onto people, and they didn't accept that. But with this community, with our backgrounds and stuff, I don't think we're having any problems with DEI.
Anne.
So Tara, one thing you forgot, special education is
yes,
DEI
thank you.
work.
Thank you.
And very important. And so, like, really thinking about it, like, public schools are like the ultimate implementation of equity and inclusion. We turn no one away. We are statutorily required to educate every young person in this district. We don't get a choice to say, no, not you.
Yeah.
Yes, you are here. And so, like, that's really, public schools are the great equalizer. They were built to create citizens and an educated community and workforce, and so that anyone, no matter who you were or where you came from, you at least had an education, and that is so important. And when, like, this DEI has become this, like, buzzword and, like, evil mantra, and I'm just like, no, they're talking about pluralism. Pluralism is the idea that we all have different lives and histories and ideas and beliefs, and that's okay. We can all still live together. We can all still talk to one another. We don't all have to believe the same things to be friends. It's okay to have differences. It's kind of what makes things fun in life. Like, if we were all the same, that would be really boring.
I don't know. If we were all Gary, it'd be all right.
Ditto.
So yeah, so I mean, again, like they've said, we're already doing these things in our schools. Like, it's not anything evil. It is being a good friend. Like, I have a second grader, and it's talking about managing your emotions so you don't have an outburst when you lose a Fortnite match. Like, that's what this work is, and we're doing it, and it's important, and that's what public schools do.
All right. I believe Gary is the next person who's first, and then we go to Anne and Tara. The district spent a lot of money during COVID on legal fees. Is that still happening?
I guess
And you may not, let me just add, you may or may not know if they did or they didn't. You don't need to accept the premise.
I guess I don't like politicians. I don't like lawyers. I mean, I just see society, if you don't get what you want, lawyer up. And instead of just having a good conversation with someone, I was just reading somewhere, I think the Title IX thing we voted on, the Moms of Liberty or something.
Moms of Liberty.
They lawyered up on things, and I mean, just think of all the money we could give to the public schools if we didn't lawyer up on everything. Yeah. But that's just the way it is, and as of now, I haven't heard anything about any big lawyers' fees or anything like that. COVID, we won't even get into that. It was. It's been popping up on my Facebook feed. It was 5 years ago, everything there. And I know we're still dealing with that. A lot of these children kind of fell through the cracks, but we're catching up. And I think we're doing good. So as of now, and I guess I should know, but we're not spending frivolously on lawyers. So, and Tara will tell me if I'm wrong.
All right. Tara.
You're not
Or
right.
is it Anne who's next? Thank you.
Yeah. No.
Who's
So
on first?
yeah, I mean, I wasn't on the board, and I didn't really look to see what the legal fees were. But I think, in thinking back to those times, there was a lot of uncertainties. There were a lot of conflicting regulations, especially being in a district in 2 counties. There were different rules depending on where you live. Like, you couldn't even walk into a business on one side of town, but you could pony up to the bar on the other side of town. Super weird times, man. So, I mean, our legal fees happen when there's uncertainty and there needs to be legal advice. So there will be, some legal fees too with the new contract for the superintendent. We definitely want our lawyers to look that over and make sure it's solid. But we're not going to our lawyers all the time. We go to them when we need legal advice. And it's unpredictable when we might need legal advice, certainly with the Title IX stuff this summer, where there were court cases, there was uncertainty. When there's uncertainty about what our legal requirements are, we seek legal advice. That is sound judgment to do so. Legal fees happen too when people try to challenge the district, and that's unfortunate, and we do what we need to do to protect the district. On the horizon, I'm not seeing any major legal expenses. Like I said, there will be a little blip in legal expenses with that superintendent hire and the contracting process, but barring any major action from the Department of Education, we'll see.
I also was not on the board at that moment in time 5 years ago when the world stopped. I can, in my 3 years on the board, so we have just only recently been asking for kind of a quarterly review of our legal expenses. And again, to Annie's point, things happen, and it's always good to ask an attorney that make sure that you are complying with statute, complying with your obligations. And again, I don't anticipate, we have daily legal costs, like, have to do background checks and things. There's not ever going to be a zero line item for legal fees. It's just not ever going to happen. And again, they're going to go up and down depending on what's going on in town. I do know, because I did ask, again, because Kashanan is a concern. I know the district spent a good chunk of money on fighting the solar plant. And as did the town of Christiana, as did the village, as did I, as did my neighbor, right? So, so when these things happen, and the district may have to have, engage, and these things happen, and that's just kind of the reality of life in the 21st century, frankly. But again, I was not here during COVID, so I can't speak to those challenges. So.
All right, we have one final question, and on this final question, I'm going to exercise the prerogative of the chair, and whoever wants to answer it first will answer it. Second and third, our wonderful timekeeper, Joanne, will make sure we'll make sure that no one takes more than 2 minutes.
Ooh, I gotta get ready.
But the question appears to recognize what seems clear to me as an outsider, that all three of you get along very well. The question also, and again, I'm not part of the community, recognizes there are 5 candidates, and if the candidate, and the question is concerned with if how do you keep collegiality on the board if you don't always have a personal relationship with a school board member? How do you try to focus on the interest of the community rather than the personalities of individual board members?
We're all fighting over who goes first.
Being the person who served longest on the board, I will take this first.
And the oldest.
And the oldest, thank you.
As the youngest, I'll wait my turn, as usual.
We put little sis in the middle. Oh.
I'm just sitting in the middle.
No, actually, I will speak to that, and I think our
Start the
answers.
time,
Yeah,
because
sorry.
we'll make
And I think our answers are probably going to be similar,
Yeah.
because I was a new school board member at one point. I did not know everyone on the board. I didn't know Jim well. I didn't know Grace well. I didn't know Courtney. I didn't know, oh,
Tracy.
no.
Oh, you knew Tracy.
Julie, thank you. I didn't know Julie. I walked into this group and I think I knew 2 people. So, but you develop those relationships as you work together. You develop those as we're making decisions as a community, or as representing the community in support of the district. Like, we all bring our different perspectives, and I think that's what makes this board work. The current makeup of the board, I think we're really, really lucky because, gosh darn it, we're all a lot of fun, to be honest. And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of this kind of collegiality. I only met Annie like when she's got appointed, like serious, and we are quick, fast friends. Gary is Gary. But I think the answer is going to be probably pretty similar for everyone else. Like, well, you don't come to the board and have every single person be my cousin. It could happen in this town. It is Cambridge. It could happen. But again, you're walking into a place where I didn't know anybody, and I became quickly a fast friend and a colleague, and I think that's the beauty of this board. We all just are accepting, and we want to do the right thing for the community, for our students. Gary, you're the second oldest.
Yes. I just want to say, I mean, it's kind of, do we need a lesson in DEI to get the school board to get along? When they were looking for appointments, we had a great turnout of people that wanted to be on that board. I think someone else is here that threw their name in the hat, and sometimes I'm like, oh, why did I get picked? But the first time, Annie got picked, and I'm like, oh, freaking lost to Annie. I'm like, who the heck is that?
I didn't know who you were either.
I know, so that's, but then another opportunity came up, and a couple of us tried again. I was lucky enough to get on the board, but we all have to just be adults in the room. What happened that last election, why I wanted to get involved, it was child's play. Kids, it was just like I think the elementary school was more mature on a lot of the subjects out there. And the things that were being said about different people and things like that, and I just thought it was a real black eye on the community of Cambridge. And I'm not saying I'm some savior or anything like that, but I just wanted to be on there, being a local, being here for a long time, having that background of a mother on the board, a dad as a teacher, kids in the school. I'm here to give Cambridge the best publicity for the community. We need to recruit people to this school, and right now I think our board's the most stable local government here. I'm not saying
that is a true story.
The Utica government's very stable. That's all I know. But yeah, we all need to be adults, and like I said, we're role models for our kids of the future, and that's what we need to be. So thank you.
Anne.
Yeah, so I don't know people in Cambridge, so when everybody's like, well, everybody knows Gary, I'm like, I don't know Gary. But it turns out Gary's dad was my parents' high school science teacher, both of them, and my brother and my sister and several aunts and uncles. So of course we're connected automatically. But yeah, coming on the board, like I had been a board member on the Kashkanan Trails Governance Board. So, and my oldest didn't attend kind of the regular schools in Cambridge, so I kind of knew the charter school crowd. So coming onto the board, it was like, oh, okay, like these are new people, even though I'd been here 8 years by then. And yeah, it's just, it comes down to respect. We respect each other, we respect each other's views, we respect each other's roles on the board, because again, we're not expecting everyone to come in thinking about things the same way. That wouldn't be good for our district. It's important that we each bring different perspectives to the board, and be able to have open, honest, frank dialogue, which I think is something that we can do, because yes, we do get along as people. I think because we were raised right, you know, in these small towns. Um, and it's like just treating others how you want to be treated is really what it comes down to. I want to be treated with respect and to be listened to, and so I treat other board members with respect and listen to them. And when there are times when we don't all look at things the same way, we just say so, and everybody moves on with their lives, and it's all okay. I know it's hard to believe that you can disagree and just move on. It's totally fine. So yeah, it's just like I feel like I've gotten to know half of Cambridge just from knowing these two. And when I got on the board, you were the crazy solar panel
I know,
lady.
I'm the crazy solar panel lady.
I'm like, she's on the school board? Oh my gosh, what is she like? She's like, cool, man. You know, we have kids who are graduating together, so you know, it's a good time. So yes, you've got a great school board.
Well, let me say we have finished the question and answer part of the forum this evening, and now we're going to go to closing statements where each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a final statement. Now, intuitively, I was going to do reverse order of Anne, Gary, and Tara. I know Anne just spoke, but unless there's an objection, I was going to reverse the way we did opening statements.
You want to do the same? I don't
Closing statements?
Or would
I don't know,
someone
We can do the
We
same.
can do the same.
We can start with me and do it the
Yeah.
same way. That's fine. It's all good.
repeat what you said?
We can do it. We can start. We can do it.
We'll
Oh,
just keep
okay.
going in our order.
Well,
We can
then,
go
given
oldest
the
to youngest.
consensus of these collegiate candidates, then we will begin with Tara, go to Gary, and end with Anne.
Yeah, thank you. I think, honestly, my closing statement is I fully support these two, and I want you to vote for them. And our board, as it is currently made up, is honestly the most stable thing in this community right now, and we have a high-functioning district. And Gary brings a very different perspective, which is welcome, and we need to have his perspective. I was one who advocated strongly for him to be on the board twice. I got lucky the second time, I guess, right? But we all bring something different, and we all interact really well with each other. And I really fully, wholeheartedly endorse both of these two. That's really, and just the makeup of our board currently is critical to the success of the future of the district.
Yeah, thanks, Tara, for that vote. I don't know if I'm going to vote for you.
Gary.
I know. Well, I just once again thank you for this opportunity tonight to talk to everyone, answer some questions. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun. We haven't had too many issues to talk about on the board, but we all respect each other. And I think that's the biggest thing, teaching kids to respect each other. I know in this community, the one thing I've been struggling with is, it's this whole country has become left or right, and I don't think that's correct. I think what it comes down is about 51-49 in all elections and things like that. And I don't think all these candidates should be stuck with what people assume of them, just because there hasn't been any subjects brought up for all of us to maybe have a different opinion on things. And so I just want to keep an open mind. I'm sad that the other two candidates weren't here tonight. It's not fair. We don't want torches and pitchforks and things like that. But I mean, I think our school district would be in good shape of whoever you vote for. I think they all will do a good job. I think some people just like to get some clickbait out there to stir things up. But I would just love everyone's opportunity and trust to be here for another 3 years on this board. And I've really grown to like the board, and everyone's on it. We have a really good rapport with each other. So please support me, Annie, and Tara, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I am not a lifer, but I really hope to earn your vote to be a school board member. I feel like I've got really great experience coming into this role, both my professional experience in higher education and then also my prior board governance experience with the charter school board. Um, I think really it comes down to who do you believe to have the most sound judgment when in making decisions as it relates to your tax dollars, to kids' lives. And I think that's just something important for you to weigh yourself. We've all received multiple endorsements from community members, former teachers. So think about those people and how you know them and how you value their judgment. They're great voices in this community. Being a board member is not easy. I think my husband wishes I would lose this election. He actually he's like, if you don't win, that's going to be okay. And I'm like, for you, there's going to be tough decisions on the horizon. And honestly, like there's no other group I'd rather go through those tough times with than the group that we currently have on the board. And so I think it is really important for the community to support the three of us sitting here today. We want what's best for you all and for our students. And I think we're ready to take on the challenges and do the hard work to keep this school district running as best as it possibly can.
And have a good time doing it.
And have a good time doing it. And
Well,
thank you
at
all for being
this
here.
point, let's give our candidates a huge round of applause. And I want to thank all of you for showing up this evening. There are many places you could be, including just on the couch at home. And it gave the candidates an opportunity to express their views and gave you an opportunity to meet the candidates.
And I would like to thank Marilyn for serving as our conversation going and giving you an opportunity to meet the candidates that you have for school board. Having been at one in Lake Mills on Monday, we sponsored our own there. It was quite interesting to me to feel the different dynamics, and I think Donna and Joel would attest to that. So all of these forums represent the personality of their community, and if I didn't live in Cambridge, I'd want to move here after that.